What's going on, everybody? Silverback here with Silverback Preparedness. Now, a little while back, we had tucked it in a video there that we were going to be coming out with a recipe. And, well, here recently, TJ Preps has come out with a challenge of taking, some of our canned goods and going ahead and showing them in a recipe to kind of help everybody out on, down the road when you use them or when you're rotating them out, how to go ahead and just different things like that. Now, she has started this challenge, and right now, this one is going to be with canned chicken. Well, I know there are several channels out there that are kind of going along with this. I know Pinball Preparedness has been on top of this. They came out with one, I want to say it was yesterday as I'm shooting this anyway. But I will leave the links in the description below for TJ's video, so that way you guys can see where it starts out there. And just kind of, if y'all want to get in on it, please, by all means, go ahead and share some recipes. I'm going to kind of talk about the different parts of this recipe. It's real quick, real easy. It's Tuesday. It's time for some tacos. So let's get into it. Okay, now first things first, we're going to go ahead and show what we're going to be using in the recipe here. Like I said, down in the description below, I'll go ahead and write everything out and make it as easy as I possibly can for anybody that might be interested in doing this. Now, when I first did this, it was actually because I rotate my stock out quite often. We put stuff back and everything, but, it's got a shelf life. You're going to have to use it. So it's a good idea to kind of get accustomed to using that and keeping that rotation going. That's another thing that I really like about this challenge, is it allows for people to kind of get in that routine as well. So that way stuff doesn't end up going to waste. Now, if you're not going to use it, if you would, go ahead, instead of throwing it out when it gets close, go ahead and take it to your local food bank and just donate it. I'm sure there's somebody out there that can go ahead and use that just a little bit extra help. Now, I normally go ahead and we get these, and then I'll just, use however much I feel like that night, whether it be, we want it, got a really strong taste or maybe a little lighter so nobody has some heartburn that night. That's kind of the routine. And you can also always substitute it out for this right here. Now, these are a little more expensive, but I assure you in the long run, it is actually well worth it with the amount that you get for those. Like these here are just an off-brand that my local grocery store has, and these are 2 for $1. Real simple. I'm sure that's probably the same way everywhere unless you get into the real high name brands, and then they're going to be a little more expensive. But you'll need 2 of these because the amount that we're going to end up having in the pan. So okay, now, another little thing I want to touch on right before we get into what we've got sitting here and the other things that we're going to do with it is, if you've noticed, I've talked about it before, but quick reference on all the cans. So that way when you grab them, you're not sitting here trying to stare at all these little numbers and see exactly where you're at, which one needs what. When you get the can, just go ahead and write it on there. It takes just a few more minutes, but it's sitting on the shelf. It's right there on top, easy to see. Okay, now with my tacos, and you can also substitute in some rice with this if you want. I personally do like rice. The rest of my family's kind of, they could care less if it had rice or not, so I'm not going to do it with rice this time. Now, I do like beans in my stuff. We've got some dark red kidney, some pinto, and some black beans. And if I only had to have one, truthfully, it'd be the black beans. I use it in tacos, I use it in chilies, I use it, use it in everything. Same with these right here. I go through these like crazy. This here is actually, if anyone's familiar with the brand, it's from the dollar store. Real easy to get a hold of. But I use tomatoes in just about everything. Now, I'm just showing these instead of trying to do the homemade canned stuff, because obviously everybody can have a hold of these. The homemade canned stuff, you have to can it yourself or buy it from someone who has canned it themselves, which makes it a little bit harder to get a hold of sometimes. This stuff is readily available at the stores for everybody to get a hold of. So that's what I'm sticking with for this video. But anyway, we got 2 cans of that. And then there are 3 cans of our chicken breast here in water. Okay, these here, we get these at Sam's Club. We can get, I want to say it's like 6 of these cans for around $9. I know the price on everything's going up, so, but, oh, it was Magic Prepper a while back, and I had made a comment about it in one of the videos. Recommended getting these now because, you know, the price of food is going to be going up. So any chance you get to buy a little extra of any of this, go ahead and spend that money. You know, it's food insurance, it's security insurance, it's life insurance in a way, truthfully, too. So if you're going to spend your money on anything else, why not spend it on your family and what they've got going ahead of time? Because everybody's got to eat, right? Like I said, we got 3 cans of chicken breast. We're going to drain all the water off of these, but we're going to save it just in case we need it, which normally I don't, because I keep all the liquid in the pan from these over here, and that's usually enough for the water you would add. But just in case, we're going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to show you a little trick when it comes to these pull tab things that a lot of people don't usually think about. And I highly recommend it because it makes things a whole lot easier. Okay, we've got our bowl set up here to where we can put our liquid into it. I do apologize about the focus here. I'm still using my phone. I've got to upgrade to an actual camera. Be very, very helpful at this point, but I've got one. I just don't have the cord to where I can transfer the stuff from it to my computer, and my computer doesn't have a card reader yet, so I'm still stuck using my phone. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and put the liquid in here out of the canned chicken just in case we do need it. Like I said, we normally do not, but it's better to go ahead and have a hold of it. If we need to add a little bit more to it, there we go. Now, if not, then we can just go ahead and pour it down the drain like we were going to, or however you want to dispose of it, or if you've got any ideas on how to use it, go ahead and say it below. But anyway, now with these pull tabs, a lot of people don't seem to think about, when you pop it, everybody wants to pop it and then instantly throw it away. You know, pull it off, throw it away. Okay, now if you leave it to where it is sticking like that, now that can is open now, but it also will direct all the liquid right out that hole. You don't have to squeeze on it or nothing else. It will completely drain out. You know, 90% of the liquid in there. Of course, the chicken is going to retain, you know, a lot of its moisture in the chicken itself. But as you can see, we are pretty well empty that quick. Then you can just take it, pop it off, get rid of the lid, and away you go. And if you are not necessarily a big fan of chicken, another real quick trade out, I mean, if you have any shredded beef on the shelf, obviously, you know, you can do this with tacos just as simple with the beef instead of the chicken. So I just wanted to throw that in there right quick. Now, for anybody that doesn't have some, these right here, you know, oh, it's just a can opener. Yes, it is. It's very simple. These are cheap, come from the dollar store, very solid. Have you several on hand. When one of these breaks, trying to get your way into one of these other cans that don't have a pull tab like this right here, it's this simple. Just have extra on hand. And another person may ask why I used 3 cans of chicken. I've got a fairly large family. You can definitely cut this recipe down by all means to fit whatever your needs are. If you're a single person or a small family, if you're using lots of beans or other, you know, things added in there, you're going to be able to get away with 1 can of chicken with no problem. Now, we like things a little on the meatier side. This isn't anything to where we have to make sure everything stretches out for a little bit longer. You know, this is just to go ahead and have a good meal tonight. So it's that simple. We're going to fix it the way we want it instead of kind of trying to make things stretch it a little bit more. Otherwise, we'd have rice in there too, just to make it stretch that a little bit more. Just going ahead and toss it in there because I'm going to be jumping everything forward because I know y'all don't want to sit here and watch me open every single one of these cans. But another good reason to have a set of these, here we go. Now, if that was your only means, wouldn't that just suck? And don't get me wrong, you can pull a knife out and work your way around this and do it that way too to eventually get the can open. But how much easier is it just to have one of these on hand? Another thing right quick, the reason we are using 2 of those packets, and like I said, just trying to do quick reference here because I normally do go ahead and just use this stuff. Each one of these cans are 12.5 ounces. So that's that much chicken just to start with. Each one of those packets is for about 1 pound of meat, and then whatever you're adding to it. Of course, it normally says beef. You add it to chicken, or if you've got shredded pork, which is another great recipe I might add, you know. So with what we have in here, I'm going to go ahead and go with 2 just to make sure we got a good flavor to it and everything else, but not trying to go too overboard with it for all those out there that have to worry about heartburn. Now we'll go ahead and get this mixed up really well right fast. And we're also going to go ahead and share a recipe for some chicken bacon ranch that we had last night. And that will be down in the description as well. I do a lot in the kitchen, but I am more about experimenting instead of trying to stick specifically to a recipe, which is another thing I recommend everybody do. Just go ahead and give it a shot. You know, I mean, unfortunately food prices are going up, but as long as you don't go too crazy with it and stay within some stuff that you're going to eat, you can try new things and just give it a shot and see how it goes, and be very surprised, and happily so, with the outcome on it. So now the recipe that I will be sharing down below, I am kind of guesstimating because usually it has bacon, it has chicken, and it has potatoes in it, along with the rest of the recipe there. Now, I usually take a large casserole dish and just kind of try to make it evenly between those 3. So sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's a little less. But like I said, all the actual amounts below when it comes to the chicken, the potatoes, and the bacon are usually about a guesstimate. The bacon's pretty easy because, you know, it comes in a 1 pound package. So I know I use about half a pound on average when it comes to that one dish. Now let's get this on the stove and get this going. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and let this here come to a boil. And after it comes to a boil, we are going to go ahead and turn the heat down to a simmer. Put a lid on it. Set the timer for 15 minutes. Let it roll. And then we got something to eat. While we're waiting on that, we'll go ahead and get our tortilla shells. Now, this is the only thing that doesn't come out of a can. I mean, you can make these fairly easy out of corn or flour. We buy everything in bulk, the most we can, and then I'll break it down into different packages and stuff. Like our shredded cheese here, we buy the really big, like 5 pound bags or larger. And then when I get it home, I'll open the bag and we will break it down like this. And I do reuse these because the shredded cheese will actually store in your freezer or your deep freeze. So if you get the big ones, you can separate it out. I usually, you know, if you want to do a pound each, then go ahead and put one in the fridge. Put the rest of them down in the deep freeze, and those are good until you need them. Just don't forget to thaw it out before you need it. The tortilla shells, same way. This comes in its own package, but we get a bulk item. You know, there's several of these packages all in one, and that's just how we go with that. Now, obviously, it's tacos. Anything else you want to add to it, you know, your lettuce. We've already got tomatoes in it. I do get salsa in bulk because with these, I make breakfast burritos for my wife and her friends at work. We make them up, saran wrap them, throw them in the freezer. They're good until they need them. They can pop them in the microwave for a couple minutes while she's at work. Boom, food done, ready to roll. So another little thing to keep in mind there too. Food prep can be a very handy thing to have. You know, everybody's had them days where it's like, man, I just don't want to cook tonight. Let's go get something to eat because I just don't feel like dealing with all of it. Well, if you already have it in the freezer because you already did it ahead of time on a day where things were doing, you know, fairly good, you had enough energy or didn't have anything to do that day, and you got it all set ahead of time, instead of going out and spending that extra money, you open your freezer, pull that item out, get it rolling. We'll get more into that on down the road too because we do a lot of that around here as well. Now we've got this going at a really good boil. I'm going to share this right quick because I talked about saving the liquid off the chicken just in case we needed it. Obviously we don't need it this time around. The can of red beans. It's my first time using that particular brand. The local store here had a really good deal on them. That's the ones I went ahead and went with, and it had more liquid than what I'm normally used to. But it's all part of experimenting as well. It'll end up cooking off once it simmers down and thickens up and everything else. It'll be fine. It's no big deal. It's all still going to eat the same way it would either way. I'm going to turn this down to a simmer. We're going to set the timer on this, put the lid on it, at least 15 minutes. I may let it go a little bit longer this time around with as much liquid in there just to kind of make sure everything goes well. And there you have it, folks. Go ahead and shut this off. Chicken tacos straight out of a can. Go ahead and throw it on your hard shells, your soft shells, put whatever else you want on it that you got on hand, or you can just eat it as is. Real quick, great recipe. My family likes it. I've even got family members that actually request this, believe that or not. So I hope this helps somebody out there somewhere in just some small way. And I thank everyone for going ahead and watching. Definitely get over to, link in the description again now, TJ Preps. She's the one that started this challenge. Anybody else, please feel free to go ahead and go along with it. And let's see what y'all got. This part of the challenge is canned chicken. So what y'all got? Alright folks, I hope y'all enjoyed that. If you don't mind, go ahead and leave a like. Leave a comment below, how would you change up this recipe? What are some that maybe you do? If you're not necessarily a content creator, go ahead and share some recipes with everybody else. You never know when you may help somebody. I know there's a lot of people that talk back and forth in the comments, and I appreciate y'all doing that. It really helps the community out and just gets more information out there. But as always, folks, Silverback Preparedness here. Y'all stay humble.